if you see your brother, if you see your brother or sister in Christ stumble, treat them with love, and go to them and say, "Hey, I just wanted to give you an encouraging word. Man, I saw you do this, but here's a this goes back to last week when we talked about being vulnerable, right? When you're vulnerable, you give that opportunity to lead people, and um, maybe give them an example, right? Like, hey, I saw you do this. Let me give you an example of a time, Seth, when I done that, and it affected me profoundly, and I learned this from it. Sharing those experiences, as I think, is another
Yeah.
calling sign of a maturing Christian, because you're willing to let people into your inner circle of heart and allow them to see things that most people don't get to see.
It's the vulnerability we talked about last week, because if we're vulnerable and can honestly
Mm-hmm.
share where we're at and how we mess up, because I've told you, we said this last week, people look at us on this podcast and they're like, man, I can't follow these guys, because they're just they're too big. They're these super Christians. No, we're not. I am a flawed, imperfect person. You don't see where I mess up. You don't see where I've dropped the ball. I don't openly talk about it a lot, but sometimes I do. I mess
Absolutely.
up bad. But here's the thing. Um, I got grace. Jesus gives me grace. We have to be able to offer grace, give something that we don't deserve. If somebody says a harsh word to you, reacts, tries to get you thrown in jail, whatever it may be, you have to respond in grace, because they don't deserve it, but we have to give it back, just like Christ loved us, because he forgave us even before we committed our sin. He knew the state we were going to be in. We have to live that life and reflect who Jesus is. We are that image once again.
Absolutely. Ephesians 4:29 says, don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Then 4:2-3 says, be completely humble and gentle. Patrick, that's going towards you. Be
Yeah.
gentle. um, be patient, bearing with one another in love. There's that key word, love, again. It's always going back to love. Make every effort to keep unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. At the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, you remember the little bracelets that said WWJD on, we all used to wear? What
They're
would
coming
Jesus,
back, dude. They're coming
yeah,
back.
what would Jesus do? That's a good philosophy to live by. If you got, if, it's, the statistics say that it takes, what, 3 seconds to make a decision where it's good or bad.
Mhm.
And, you know, think about what would Jesus do? If you're in a conversation with somebody and you got to make a quick decision on, man, is this going to build them up? Is this going to tear them down? Just think, what would Jesus do? And see where
Mhm.
it leads you, because I think that's a good way to live by.
Patrick just dropped a comment on here. He said, "Yeah, I recently had some people tell me I don't need to be a pastor. So very hard not to snap, bro. Look, it's difficult dealing with people and how they. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna get on a soapbox for a minute. Y'all ready? Here we go.
Preach it.
A lot of people, they look and they judge and what somebody's calling is. They try to tell us what God has told us to do when they have no idea. They have no discernment. They have no understanding. But here's the truth we have to hear and understand. We have to serve where God has placed us. Okay. God didn't place me in Patrick's shoes. God didn't place Dalton in Patrick's shoes. He placed Patrick in Patrick's shoes, and he used
Mm-hmm.
Patrick's gifts, his spiritual gifts, his abilities, his talents, his personality for a purpose. His purpose is different than my purpose. His purpose is different than Dalton's, but we each have a purpose in the kingdom, whether we are a mature Christian or an immature Christian. Um, we have to live that. And some of these people, the statements that they're saying, telling you don't need to be a pastor, this shows you the level of maturity. We can come to church every Sunday. We can go to Bible studies. We can tithe in the offering plate. But that does not mean we are a mature Christian. We can attend a church for 40 years and say we're going to heaven, but as soon as our life ends, we're entering eternity in the gates of hell because we have missed the main thing, which is Jesus.
That's right.
We miss the point so many times as believers because